Ladies and gentlemen, when you find yourself being used, it's not just a moment of pain, it's a moment of revelation. It tells you something about the dynamics of the relationship, yes, but more importantly, it tells you something about yourself. The world is filled with people who will take as much as you allow. That's not cynicism, that's reality. And it's your responsibility to decide where the limits are. You see, when you let someone use you, it's often because you've forgotten or perhaps never fully realized your worth. You've traded your dignity for the hope of approval, affection, or validation. But let me tell you something, your worth is not determined by how much you can give to others, especially those who take without gratitude or reciprocity. Your worth is inherent. It's not negotiable. Now, setting boundaries is not selfish. It's a profound act of self-respect. If you don't set boundaries, someone else will set them for you, and I can guarantee you they won't have your best interests at heart. Boundaries are the framework within which your dignity operates. They say, this is what I will tolerate. This is where I draw the line, and the beauty of boundaries is that they're not about punishment, they're about clarity. They communicate who you are and what you stand for. Manipulation is subtle, insidious, and often cloaked in kindness or charm. But if you pay attention, it's predictable. Watch for patterns, empty promises, one-sided exchanges, guilt-tripping. The manipulator's power lies in your lack of awareness. The moment you see it for what it is, you strip away its hold over you. Awareness is liberation. But here's the most important part. When you've been used, don't let the bitterness consume you. Don't let it define you. Let it teach you. Pain, as unjust as it feels, can be a catalyst for transformation. It can make you stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Use it as fuel not for revenge, but for growth. You have the power to step out of the shadow of someone else's misuse and into the light of your own potential. And when you do, you'll find that you are no longer a victim, but a force to be reckoned with, a person who knows their worth, defends their boundaries, and walks through life with clarity and strength. Understanding your worth begins with recognizing that your value isn't dependent on external validation or the opinions of others. Too often, people tie their sense of self-worth to how they're treated, the roles they play, or the relationships they're in. But your worth exists independently of these factors. It's intrinsic. It's not something you earn, it's something you possess by virtue of being alive. When you fail to see this, you leave yourself vulnerable to being used because you're likely to accept less than you deserve in exchange for fleeting moments of approval or affection. Your worth is not about what you do for others or how much you give. It's not defined by how much someone praises or acknowledges you. The moment you measure yourself by someone else's standards, you hand them the power to dictate your value. This is a dangerous place to be because people who seek to use others thrive on this kind of imbalance. They exploit the gaps in your self-perception, offering just enough validation to keep you tethered to their agenda. Recognizing your worth means reclaiming that power. It means saying, I am enough regardless of what I do, what I own, or how others perceive me. It's a quiet confidence that doesn't need to shout or prove itself. It allows you to demand respect without apology and to walk away when that respect is denied. When you understand your worth, you no longer tolerate being treated as an option or a convenience. Instead, you choose relationships, opportunities, and paths that honor who you are. This understanding transforms the way you move through life. You no longer seek permission to be valued because you already know you are. Setting clear boundaries is an essential act of self-respect and personal responsibility. It's about defining what is acceptable and unacceptable and how others treat you and how you engage with the world. Boundaries are not walls to shut people out, but guidelines to ensure mutual respect and understanding. They reflect your values and priorities, showing others that you value yourself enough to protect your time, energy, and emotional well-being. When boundaries are unclear or non-existent, others may unintentionally or intentionally overstep. This can leave you feeling drained, disrespected, or even used. But here's the truth, people can only push as far as you allow. If you don't set limits, someone else will dictate the terms of the relationship, and their terms may not serve your best interests. Establishing boundaries starts with self-awareness. You need to understand what feels right and what doesn't. Pay attention to moments when you feel uncomfortable or taken advantage of. Those are signs that a boundary needs to be set. And when you communicate your boundaries, be firm but kind. It's not about confrontation, it's about clarity. It might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you've been a people pleaser or have avoided conflict, but the discomfort is temporary, while the benefits are lasting. Clear boundaries help you cultivate healthier relationships because they filter out those who respect you from those who only want to take advantage. Boundaries also liberate you from resentment. When you allow others to cross your limits, frustration builds. By enforcing boundaries, you prevent this cycle and maintain a sense of peace and control. Ultimately, setting boundaries isn't about keeping others in check. It's about honoring yourself and creating the space for relationships and opportunities that align with your values and self-worth. Identifying manipulation begins with understanding its subtle and often deceptive nature. Manipulation doesn't always appear as blatant control. It's usually disguised as concern, charm, or even affection. The manipulator often seeks to gain something from you, your time, resources, or emotional energy by exploiting your trust, vulnerabilities, or desire to please. Recognizing this behavior requires attentiveness to patterns and inconsistencies in how someone treats you. One common sign of manipulation is when someone's words and actions don't align. They may make promises they don't keep or repeatedly justify hurtful behavior with excuses that shift the blame onto you. Pay attention to feelings of guilt or obligation that arise when interacting with someone. Manipulators often use guilt as a tool to control your decisions, framing their needs or desires as more important than your own. Another red flag is one-sided relationships. If you're always the one giving, compromising, or fixing problems while receiving little in return, it's worth examining whether manipulation is at play. True relationships or reciprocal manipulation thrives on imbalance. Manipulators also create confusion to keep you uncertain and compliant. They may gaslight you, making you doubt your perceptions or feelings. Statements like "you're overreacting" or "you're imagining things" are designed to undermine your confidence and keep you under their influence. The key to identifying manipulation is trusting your intuition. If something feels off, don't dismiss it. Take the time to assess the situation objectively. Ask yourself whether this person respects your boundaries and values your well-being. Recognizing manipulation is not about paranoia but empowerment. It's about seeing clearly and acting decisively to protect your emotional health. Once you identify manipulation, you reclaim your ability to make choices based on respect and mutual understanding rather than control and deceit. Pain, while often unwelcome, is one of life's most profound teachers. It forces us to confront our vulnerabilities, reevaluate our choices, and face truths we might otherwise avoid. Transforming pain into growth begins with the decision to see it not as a permanent defeat, but as a stepping stone toward a stronger, wiser version of yourself. Pain holds a mirror to our lives, showing us areas that need attention, healing, or change. The first step in growth is acceptance. Denying or suppressing pain only prolongs its hold on you. By acknowledging it, you allow yourself to process the experience fully. This doesn't mean dwelling on it or letting it define you. It means giving yourself permission to feel, to grieve, and to reflect. Acceptance opens the door to understanding, and with understanding comes clarity. Pain often comes with lessons. It may teach you about boundaries you need to enforce, people you need to let go of, or patterns you need to break. It can reveal your inner strength, resilience, and capacity to endure. By asking yourself, "What can I learn from this?" you shift your focus from victimhood to empowerment. Every setback holds the potential for insight, and every wound carries the possibility of wisdom. Growth also requires action. Use the insights pain gives you to make better choices, set healthier boundaries, and pursue your goals with renewed determination. The process may be uncomfortable, but discomfort is a sign of progress. It means you're stepping outside your comfort zone and moving towards something greater. Ultimately, transforming pain into growth is about reclaiming your narrative. It's about taking what was meant to break you and using it to build you. Pain, when met with courage and reflection, can become the foundation of a life lived with purpose and strength. Pain, Manipulation and being undervalued are not the final chapters of your story unless you allow them to be. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to rise stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Your worth is non-negotiable, your boundaries are your power, and your ability to learn from hardship is limitless. Don't let the actions of others or the pain of the past define who you are. Instead, use them to refine you, to build a version of yourself that is unshakable. Stand tall in the knowledge that you are enough, worthy of respect, and capable of turning every setback into a stepping stone. The strongest message you can send to the world and to yourself is this: you are not here to be used, diminished, or broken. You are here to grow, to thrive, and to become everything you were meant to be. Keep walking forward, and let nothing stop you from claiming the life you deserve.